Low 404 Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC. Hey, so the Dillian Whyte saga continues. So they came back yesterday, basically saying that Whyte passed all his VADA testing, which was not news. That was initially said from the start that he passed his VADA stuff, but for whatever reason, he got popped by UCAT for another substance, for the D-ball. So, for those who come out, want to carry the flag, carry the banner, defending Dillian Whyte, who passed his VADA stuff, so he must be clean. Like I said, when they first announced this, when people started saying, "Oh, he passed VADA," why did VADA catch it? VADA must be blah blah blah. The random testing that VADA does is just that. It's random. It's not 24/7. It's not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, non-stop. It's random for 365 days a year, or for the period of time that you're enrolled. So if a guy, it's all about when a person done something and when they were tested. You know what I'm saying? It could have been timed perfectly, and he was fortunate enough that at the time VADA tested him, it was out of his system. And I'm not just saying Dillian Whyte, I'm talking about anyone. There's nothing that's foolproof when it comes to catching someone. All right? And at the same time, when it comes to the whole situation with the UCAT deal, you know what I'm saying? It's like they caught him, and then what made everything worse was everything that happened after the failed test. That is where things really got bad. That make it to where it really reeks of conspiracy or cover-up or just shadiness. Because there was no sharing of information with the other team, the other camp. There was no sharing of this failed test or adverse finding with the WBC, the sanctioning body whose interim title and mandatory spot that the fight is about, that the fight's for. And there was no information to the press. You know what I'm saying? It was just, it's happened, oh, we done to hear it, okay, oh well. And the thing about it is that makes you wonder that if the story never got leaked, we'd have never known anything about it. There would be no testing of a B sample. I mean, the whole thing could have just went away. And that's the thing, that when Eddie Hearn was going hard trying to hold his position when he was talking to Fred, that was the one thing that, that I kept coming back to was, you keep saying they're not trying to sweep it under the carpet, as he said, but at the same time, it's like the story got leaked. You guys never brought the story out in the open. It was leaked, and then you were forced to address it. And then even with being forced to address it, everything that's said even seems like it's trying to undermine the adverse finding, the failed test. And even on camera, Eddie doesn't even want to acknowledge that Dillian failed the test. It's like, the facts got to come out, blah, 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 blah. You guys don't know anything. You just, read a story on Boxing Scene. Well, yeah, that's true. But unfortunately, so did the WBC. The WBC had to read the story on Boxing Scene. So did Revis's team. They had to read the story on Boxing Scene. That is absurd. That in and of itself, to me, it merits the suspension. As for what anybody outside of the WBC is gonna do, that remains to be seen. I on one hand, I wouldn't be surprised if when everything's said and done, Dillian Whyte gets a slap on the wrist and it's a, yeah, this was a contaminated test or whatever, or, but we were able to prove that he was a clean fighter, and we're gonna let him fight on. Or it could be some harsh punishment because of, you know, him being a repeat offender, already having served a 2-year suspension. I don't know, but all that said, I'm ready for this to go ahead and play out. I feel like every time you look on a boxing site or turn on YouTube, go on YouTube and watch videos, you're having to hear about it. But it's one of those things that it has to be talked about because it's a serious issue. But it's like, I want to be talking about it, and I want to hear about it coming to a resolution. You know, it's one of those things that the longer it lingers on, the longer it hurts, the worse it hurts the sport of boxing. And that's what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? If it's hurting the sport, I don't want to be a part of it. And you know what I'm saying? I feel like it has to be dealt with. It needs to be dealt with swiftly, one way or the other. It needs to be put to bed because just sitting out there like that is a bad look for the sport. You know, it was a bad look for the sport that the fight went on on a weekend in which earlier in the week 2 fighters lost their lives as a result of injuries sustained in the fight. So, you know, that's my take on it. It's been D-Lo 404 Boxing. I'm out. Peace.